I get it. Are you guys pranking me? Yeah, we're good. Thank you so much. Yeah. I wonder if I'm gonna get pranked. I just do it then. Portland. I got you back! So good! Oh my god! I got you guys back so good. How is everybody doing? Hey. It's so weird to be on like a whole like panel stage by yourself. You know? You know, yeah, right? Like, it's like, but then, you know, there's people in the back, blah, blah, blah. That sort of thing. Oh, yeah, Sarah, you should come up. Don't you want
Yes!
No! You don't want to help moderate or anything?
Yeah.
Okay, good. She just doesn't want to be on stage checking her phone. Okay, you don't have to come up. You do whatever you want. Do what makes your heart feel light. Hi, everybody. I'm Hannah Hart. For those of you that know. For those of you that don't, I'm Hannah Hart. So everybody, okay, let me ask you guys some questions. Who here is also participating in their first LeakyCon? No way! There's that many people? This is your first LeakyCon?
Yep.
Wait a tick. What brought you to this LeakyCon as opposed to any other? What? Was it me? Thank you. I've always wanted to go to LeakyCon, but I never have. Alternative titles were BeakyCon. Are the BeakyCon kids here? Exotic birds. FreakyCon, which happens LeakyCon after dark. Yeah, with Snape. What is more? TweakyCon, which is just for people who
tweak.
Just silence. There's also no like extra sound in here. This is like the kind of room that they put you in when they do standardized testing. You know what I mean? Like, here, wait, everybody. It's just so quiet, and then you're supposed to take a test, and then you're just like, this was me as a kid. I was like, is everybody serious? Like, how quiet is it in here? I don't know, dude. Oh my god, no, seriously. I could totally hear that kid breathing. But I still, you know, did average. So, I'm just kidding, I did really well in Genius. But more importantly, speaking of geniuses, John Green wrote the foreword for the book. I gotta tell you guys something that's so funny. In theory, this is supposed to be like a book preview, so I thought I'd read a little bit of it, and then we'd just do questions, if you wouldn't mind helping with like the mic and stuff.
Yeah.
Does that sound good? Yeah. Yeah? But I will tell you guys a couple funny things about the book. Number one is that every time, I did an interview today, right after the meet and greet, the signing. I did an interview today with the New York Post, and the interviewer asks about halfway through, like, it's always so obvious when you're talking to someone who is like, absolutely, like, what square one do we need to start from, you know, like, what is the internet, like, how far back are we going right now, you know what I mean? So somebody was like, how on earth did you get John Green, like, and it's the real John Green, right? And I was like, yeah. They're like, why did he write that foreword for your book? And I was like, gotten drunk in a kitchen with him. He invited me to the first VidCon I ever went to. I don't know, because he's nice. And that's the truth, it's because he's nice. He's a nice guy. So that's a funny story. What's another funny story about writing a book? It's really fucking hard. But yeah, okay, let me just ask this. Would you guys prefer that I read from the book, or we just answer questions and talk the whole time? It's... Oh, wait, I need to see hands. Hands will work out.
Wait.
No, yeah, I know. I'm talking about length of time. Like spend the whole time doing it or do a little reading.
Do a little reading.
Good, you're right. That's the right answer, guys. Also, I got a really cool new sticker for my thingy. What are those called? The ribbons? They're called ribbons? Not like stick-a-mins or like... Whoa! Is Colin here? Can who is Colin? He's Colin. Oh, wow. Colin. Is he a dull drink of water? Well, wait, what's your name? Oh, yeah, Rebecca. We met earlier. Rebecca, we need to get you one for next year. It just says Rebecca on it. That's the plan. She holds up her hand. She's like, yeah, Hannah, I'm on it. Okay? How obtrusive is this thing, right? That giant thing in the middle. But no, I have my favorite. I wonder how many of you are going to get this. Or, like, so, also, first and foremost, can I get a big round of applause for the person who made the carrot onesie one? Do you have any left? She has, okay, cool. Well, everybody, that's her. If you didn't get one, okay? Okay, we're all a family here. We help each other out. That's where she is. And then she also has sorted this gay, which I think is but I have one at the bottom. 1 extra hour in the ball pit. DashCon. What a shit show. What the fuck was that? Am I right? What the fuck was that? So, yeah, I guess I will read. So, I think I should read Kitchen Basics. Yeah.
Let's find the one I'm in.
I'm not in any of it, but you can take the book. So I can read the opening. I think I might maybe read the opening part, right? I'll read the opening. It might take a minute, and I've never read it out loud, the whole thing before, so you guys have to bear with me as I stumble through my first book reading.
Also, I'm in Latka Shotkas.
Oh yeah, there's there in the background of that. I'm surprised you're showing people that picture. Thank you. Okay. Have a lozenge. That sounds good. Latka Shotkas, the quote. So in the book, every recipe comes with a picture and a quote that is meaningful to me and maybe meaningful to you or maybe just funny. The quotes range from Liz Lemon, who says, put potato chips in a sandwich. This one's from Mae West, or debatably Dorothy Parker. One more drink and I'll be under the host. And then some of them are really like touchy-feely, like this one. Macaroni and Peace. This quote's from Thomas Jefferson. Thomas Jefferson, maybe good guy, maybe not. Turns out everybody's not that great. Let's do another one. Let's do, oh, this is Sloppy Jane. I'm in my bed, but my laptop is dying and my charger is in the living room. That's just me all the time.
Do you want to walk them through, like, what they can expect in the book? Like, is it all recipes, or what is it? And then we'll start from the beginning.
I agree. Oh, I like this one. So,
do you see what I have to put up with?
I gotta be me. So this one's called Pastafarian, and it's about trying to cook while you're high, which I do, / you know, whatever you want to do is fine with me. Safely and responsibly, you know, #duh.com. So anyway, but here's the quote for it, and this quote comes from Yoko Ono, and it's, "You may think I'm small, but I have a universe inside my mind." And I like that because it reminds me of the TARDIS, right? So yeah, I guess I'm having a lot of problems with my voice, but it's okay. Oh, also, actually, there's a part of this right here that's quotes from Instagram and Tumblr and my Twitter. So, you know, who knows if your quote's in here, but there are quotes. Because it says, like, in this part, I talk about, this is what it says. I sometimes have a hard time explaining what My Drunk Kitchen is all about, or why it matters to me so much. So, I went on my Tumblr and I asked people what it meant to them, and this is what some people wrote. So, I pulled some stuff, so who knows? Incentive to buy the book, Hart.com/book. Cheaper to pre-order. What time is it? 2:07? Great. Okay, so here's the structure of the book. Sarah's right. So part 1 is called Kitchen Basics. And in Kitchen Basics, that's the essay I'll be reading from. It basically discusses the foundations of every good kitchen, or the foundations like of your life. For instance, in this section, I talk about a little bit about my childhood and my personal relationship with food. So I'll read you guys that section. In section 2, and subsequently all the recipes thereafter have to do with that kind of basics beginner's guide. For instance, the first recipe is the Hart, and the quote that kind of defines that is, "If you don't know history, then you don't know anything. You are a leaf that doesn't know it is part of a tree." Which I like. That's good. Whoa. Roots. Part 2 is adultolescence. See that? It's a carrot onesie. You know? Remember? Me too. And in this it talks about adultolescence, which is guides to being an amateur adult. It's like your second adolescence. I believe it starts at 21 and goes through till that 70. Yeah. I would say. Thereabouts. The third part, is the love part. Bam! So this is love. And in this, I talk about recipes for relationships. And I go through and I talk a little bit about my first 3 significant relationships as they pertain to an appetizer, an entree, and dessert. Okay, so that's pretty sexy because it's red. Everybody got that? If you haven't ordered at hannahhart.com/book and are waiting to buy it at a bookstore, totally cool. As your friend, I just want to let you know it's cheaper to buy it online. And then, oh yeah, that's me. This one. I'm this one because I'm just like, I'm awake. Oh, I'm awake.
Oh, the bananas.
Love them bananas. Oh yeah, check this out.
Can I show my favorite one?
Yeah? Okay, but then we have to go to part 4. Yeah. Oh man, are you guys enjoying this book preview? I really will read, I swear to God. I'm just happy to see you guys. Oh yeah, let me take a picture too. Yay, let's clap for that. I'm happy to see you guys. I was out of focus the whole time. Let's do it again.
You guys, look at this one.
Oh, it's bondage.
Yeah, look, you've shocked them into silence. There are children here. They don't even know what they're looking at. You literally shocked them into silence. Oh, yeah. Ooh, listen to this quote. So the hot crust buns recipe, the quote that opens it is, everything in the world is about sex except sex. Sex is about power. Oh my God. Anyway, so that's part 3. Hello. Gotta get it. So good. And then this one's about the holidays and coping with family during the holidays. It's called Trifle Troubles.
Okay, let's start with you.
Yes. We're starting. Will it be on Kindle? I don't know, like, my book, I don't know, man. I'm trying to get an Audible audiobook right now. I'm like, hey, Audible. I don't know if you know this, but I have something called the Walking Book Club at audible.com/yourheartdown, so I'd really love to do an audiobook. And Audible's like,
Yes.
So this is part 4, family and the holidays.
Nice.
Anyway, long story short, the only way that we can legitimize our presence in the gatekeeper-locked traditional realm is by going to hannahhart.com/book and buying it. So, anyway, we'll start. Here we go, reading. This is what people must feel like when they talk about public speaking. Because I've always just been like, public speaking, yeah, you go and you speak publicly, and that's fine, and then you walk away, and then it's done, yay. But I feel genuinely super nervous right now.
I doubt it.
Thanks, dude. Okay, call me. kitchen basics. I don't have my reading glasses. We gotta take notes. How to make the most of what you've got. Life is not a box of chocolates. Life is more like an empty plate. And that's not to imply that your plate is and forever will be bare, but rather that the emptiness of the plate mirrors the blank expanse of an unused campus and its ingredients, or paints. Now, we began with the predetermined portions. Portions, food pun. This is terrifying. We began with the predetermined portions. Ethnicity, location, financial status, or genetic predisposition to chocoholism. Now, all of these factors differ from person to person, but the shared experience lies in the random lot you are dealt. And that is that it's up to you, as it is to all of us, to fill our plate with a meal that you'd like to eat. As Voltaire once said, each player must accept the cards dealt, but once they are in hand, he or she alone must decide how to play the game. Or something like that. I'm not very good at remembering quotes word for word, or following instructions step by step, or staying on track when writing the 4th paragraph to my book. Anyway, the first step in creating the meal of your life is to properly assess the fixings around you. Like stumbling into a kitchen, perhaps while drunk, and spying a loaf of bread, some butter, some cheese, and knowing deep in your core what to do next. Buy cheese. For me, this began as a child. Without going into too much detail, I would simply say that my family struggled with money and I spent a great deal of time alone. Now, despite the disadvantages of my home life, I was blessed enough to never be bullied. I was well-liked and friendly and frankly just loved being in the company of other kids at all. So, for the most part, I never felt different, except during lunch. During lunch, there was no simple way to hide the truths that food reveals. Everyone would sit on the asphalt in circles or at the lunch table in rows, and in front of them, each child would have their social marker. Brown paper bag, labeled with a name, simple sandwich, nothing more. You could tell this kid had a single parent who was trying. They probably knew some Tracy Chapman songs by heart. On Halloween, their costume, if any, would be heartfelt and homemade. A balanced meal, and then this is the next thing. A balanced meal in a plastic lunchbox with a thermos. This meant that there was at least one doting parent at home while the other was off earning their station. That kid occasionally showed up with something store-bought, an item a parent could grab while standing in line for coffee at Starbucks. And maybe this meant that the night before or the morning of, there had been a little skirmish on the home front. Hot lunch. That's the next section. The contents were the same for everyone, but some paid with money and some kids had special tickets. I would sometimes start the year with a special ticket, but if there was a renewal period, that's when my portion would run out and I'd be left to my own devices. Thus, relying on the special ticket for making sure I got fed was a faulty system. Will she eat it, however, was not. What's will she eat it? That's what you're supposed to be asking yourselves right now. I think we know.
We saw your drama.
I like to think of Will She Eat It as an interactive performance piece, an art form to be executed with extreme attention to detail and a subtle grace. If undertaken lightly, you might fall into the unpleasant category of mooch, from which there would be no return. My older sister had made this mistake, and I was fortunate enough to witness this play out in the politics of her 5th grade social circle from my 2nd grade sidelines. The rules of the games were quite simple. Everyone would contribute a portion of their lunch, and as a group, we concocted a special recipe. Upon its completion, I would eat it. Combinations could include, but were not limited to, M&Ms and Fig Newtons, maybe with an accompanying ketchup relish, Cheez-Its dipped in chocolate pudding, potato chips crushed into Jello snacks, probably green flavored for the limey kick. Oh, this is a real fact coming out. Ready? Reds didn't do much for my palate, and I would later find that to be identified as a family allergy that my sister has, red dye number 40, which is outlawed in all European countries, but readily embraced by our American dietary needs for color and excess. This is literally a food dye that they don't put in foods in other countries, because they're like, well, no, that gives people headaches. I mean, that causes headaches. You know what I mean? In America, we're like, Kool-Aid. And then like 1 in 5 people are like, I'm sorry, I have a terrible migraine. And then that person grows up thinking like, oh, I'm somebody who complains a lot. But in truth, there's somebody who's an allergy to a red food dye. Isn't that wild? I don't know. Sorry, guys. Imagine what it was like to try and write a book. bologna and peanuts is the last one. Now, the point of the game was to encourage as much chaos as possible. Given the diverse social circles of the schoolyard, it was easy to bounce from group to group without drawing too much attention. I was really lucky in that way. I like to think of myself as something akin to a traveling minstrel, with an appetite. The game moved in easy circles, as it was a community effort, really. Bursts of laughter would attract others. It brought people together and kept everyone involved. I considered using this as a future campaign slogan for running for presidential office. Yes, I will eat that. With everyone's lunches laid bare, we could observe each other's differences and expand our tiny worlds. Why does your juice box look like that? My mom always makes me eat leftovers. What's wrong with your Cheerios? These are Fruit Loops. Nope, those are Fruitios. I have Fruit Loops. Oh, lucky, I want Lunchables. Oh, Lunchables. Fucking delicious, amazing, perfect Lunchables. Food that is so clean, it can't even touch itself. Endless combinations and assemblies, stacks of stacks to satiate. Nothing on this earth could beat the taste of that sweet plastic cheese and that weird hot pink meat. On top of a Ritz cracker to boost, this was the height of luxury in my eyes, my lunchtime Lolita. The second someone, I got a note from my copy editor about that line. It was like, if you're a schoolgirl, how is that your lunchtime Lolita? And I was like, I'm Humber in this example, buddy. Duh. And he was like, oh, you're a girl, but you're thinking like you're the main character. I'm the copy editor. Though he, to be fair, his job is to not get a lot of jokes so he can copy edit. That's what copy editors do. My editor was really sweet, though. Don't think that, by the way. The second someone peeled back that plastic top, the longing on my face could belie the levity of the game itself. The sheer want would radiate from me. Not to mention that, frankly, Lunchables kids were their own breed in my mind. They were always on sports teams. They seemed to be endlessly tall and slender, and they always had siblings. Lunchables' parents knew how to get a family of 6 out the door and on their way to practice. That sort of family often had a student body president or 2 in the mix. But let's go back to life as an empty plate. Each day we must fill it, but we won't always have a pantry full of whatever we like best. For me, that would be a pantry where every shelf contained cheese, the bottom shelf bearing the most soft and subtle, and then each level above graduating to a firmer, harder, stinkier. I just really, really hope that later on Tumblr there's something that's stinkier. But that doesn't take away, pantry full of whatever we like best, but doesn't take away from us having agency over what's available. And by agency over what's available, I mean not looking at your options and thinking, well, those are my options, I'll have to make it work with those options, but rather looking at your options and still creating your own way of making it work with those options. Thus, in the section ahead, Part 1, Kitchen Basics, you'll learn the foundations for kitchen improvisation. You'll learn how to say yes to your instincts and put that positive spin on the mess that's unfolding all around you. Now, don't worry, no one begins as a master of self-sustainability. Each of these recipes will come with additional tools and tips and drinks for filling your heart as well as your stomach. Take this bacon, for instance. This bacon is an optimist. Somebody is doing it right. As long as it doesn't refer to cooking bacon, because frankly, that shit is burnt. And then we begin. And that's Part 1, Kitchen Basics.